Are Terradon Riders any good in patch 5.1? Now that we've covered skirmishing infantry, we can stray into other specialized forces. Terradons are ridden by skinks, so they're affected by the Rite of Sotek-2 for extra clout. Some parts of this roster are very tanky. Terradons are not. They're very fast, but they're very squishy, and consequently everything they provide has to be weighed against their lack of staying power against the wrong foes. But I've used them to bait Vargeist into killing zones that help make the rest of the battle far smoother. They are useful. Recruited for 600 gold and 150 upkeep, the base Terradon Riders need a tier 2 building that can be built in a minor settlement, but only major settlement ones can rise to tier 4. That's for other videos. Here, you get 10 entities on Ultra with 3,720 health unit-wide for 372 health per. That's really low unit hit points, but each entity can take a few arrows at least. Armor is 15, or super flimsy. Missile resistance 15%, that at least helps a bit. Leadership an equally flimsy 55. Speed is 90. Charge speed is 75. Something to keep in mind. The unit slows down while swooping. Melee attack starts at 26, which is not the lowest in the roster. Attack interval is 4. There is a small splash target size and a maximum target splash of 2. Remember, there's only 10 entities in the unit, so this unit's coverage of an enemy infantry unit only goes up to 20 entities at best for a single unit. This accounts for some of its paltry performance in melee, but at least you're inflicting morale penalties. Melee defense is 22, which isn't as awful as it could be, but is still pretty bad. Weapon strength, on the other hand, is 65, split between base 52 and armor piercing 13, so it does have some hope of mauling basic infantry or, more likely, weak missile units isolated from others. Charge bonus is 16 only, and mass is 400 per entity. Now, for ranged. Ammunition starts at 26 volleys, same as the ground skirmishers. Range is 90, missile strength is officially 67, with poison inflicted per attack. Missile damage is 27 base and 13 armor piercing per impact, so a strand over double base damage versus AP. No detonation, these are literal javelins. Reload time is 6, which means the javelins are chucked as fast as darts are blown by skirmishers. Total accuracy is the base 20, calibration distance a fairly average 50 meters, calibration area 2.9, which is neither especially good or bad, small penetration cap, max penetration of 2 past the first, but all small caps are very unreliable. This unit has the Primal Instincts buff if below 50% HP, which comes up a lot. Causes fear by default, has the Woodsman trait to ignore forest and jungle trees so it can dive bomb archers hiding in them without any demerit. Vanguard deployment, fire whilst moving, and a one-time, if you're not with Tiktak'to, Drop Rock's ability that has all entities drop 1 rock bomb on enemy forces from the air. It does hurt, and it's about the only thing they have which can get the attention of an armored infantry unit. Now, let's talk about the Fireleech Bola variant. Recruit for 750 gold and 188 upkeep. This increased cost gets you 100% identical melee stats across the board. For ranged, we have ammunition 22, range 80 so a shorter distance, missile damage 66 averaged, and his flaming attack, very, very important. It's not poison, it's flaming. Direct impact is 11 base and 4 AP, detonation radius of 4 meters. Within that radius, 27 base damage and 11 armor piercing, again, flaming. Reload time is 8, so this ammunition will be expended at a slower pace. Calibration distance is 45, calibration area a fair more inaccurate at 6, same penetration stats, traits are identical. Not only do they cause fear regardless, they do not boost Kroq-Gars despite the skinked riders. In the tech tree, Terradons benefit from Swift Rider, last seen for our Cold One cavalry units, providing up to speed plus 10%, weapon strength plus 8%, and missile strength plus 8%, since these actually have missiles. Similarly, Soulbound provides rank 7 ones with plus 5 melee attack, plus 5 melee defense, and 15% missile resistance, which is extremely welcome. The melee, well, it's a last resort or a cheeky play against isolated missile units, usually. In the tech tree, it takes the tier 3 beast building, as in, not the Terradon building, the Stegodon one, to unlock the beast line, but Tablet of the Beast adds plus 10% speed, and Sequence of Exotic Weapons adds plus 25% ammunition to Terradon Riders, which is a pretty substantial buff for that. The rest is recruit rank and upkeep reduction, valuable but not worth dwelling on. So how do you use the Terradon Riders? Well, for most players, the Fireleech Bolas will be your go-to in the early to mid portions of the campaign, and while these are absolutely vulnerable units, they're one of your few reliable sources of flaming damage, one of your few reliable sources of area effect damage on packed infantry units, and the Drop Rocks is a nasty addition to your blob management strategies. The inaccuracy is going to be a problem, but if you're taking care to target low armored opponents, that can do some damage if allowed to. Or at least, if they're fast units, like say dire wolves with 0 armor, you're likely to push a reluctant enemy to make a move against you and send anything like fellbats charging in. That's skirmishing the AI for you. Skeleton spearmen, burn them up a little, see how far it gets you. Eventually, if you've thrown enough bolas, you'll run out, but by then they'll have more than earned their keep. The regular version has at least some utility against single entities, but at the same time the damage just isn't there to be decisive. The good thing is poison slows enemies down, so kiting aerial opponents becomes even better. And if you have the text and the redline enhancements, that's plus 20% speed, so what, speed 118 if not charging? You still have enough melee to duel a single unit of fellbats, and win, I imagine, but it's safer to do that over friendly skirmisher lines. So, regular Terradons are a source of poison over a lot of the battle, and that can do you some good. In both cases, the maximum likely output is limited to the ammunition, so that puts a real damper on wanting to keep them safe and airborne for the entire battle. You might well end up doing rear air charges at engaged foes just to try and break their morale, but it's not ideal. Between these extremes come a lot of weird, messy situations where the Terradons are fighting for every point of damage they dish out, aerial opportunists using every trick in the book to soften stuff up. And like I said at the start, Rite of Sotek increases their missile strength. If the enemy can't or won't stop you, you're going to get all this skirmishing damage for free, completely unearned. If you have to fight for it, you may lure the opponent into a bad mistake. I've done mixes of both. It helps. You just have to accept they are squishy units, and you cannot get too attached to them. They will run into trouble. It's in their nature. Take care, and have fun setting the malevolent tree spirits on fire! It's a flamey job, but someone has to do it.